You guys, Dune is finally in theaters and on HBO Max, and no one is more excited than I am, right? Oh great, yeah. Timothée Chalamet, of all people, is going to be more excited than me, of course. Should have seen that coming. What's going on, everyone? James here, and today, yes, in honor of Dune hitting theaters and releasing on HBO Max this weekend, I wanted to go ahead and rank every major character in the film. Now, this is not going to concern the novels, or I haven't read any of the novels, and I don't even know what could lie ahead for parts 2 and 3, crossing my fingers and praying on that one, because guys, Dune is fantastic. If you missed my review, it's right at the top of the screen. But yes, today I'm going to break down my least to most favorite characters, all 17 of them in this film, and it doesn't include the Sandworm. I think the Sandworm is the general consensus and #1 unanimous winner, right? But guys, before I actually tell you which character is my absolute favorite, if it is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James. We break down movies like this all the time, so you're not going to want to miss out. Trust me, we have a really busy rest of the month and up until the end of the year. So go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and tap on that bell, y'all, and hit that thumbs up button if you are also a big fan of Dune, and get loud in the comments down below and let me know your ranking, or just tell me who your favorite character is, because guys, my #1, I wonder if it is going to be a popular choice or not. And hey, if I missed any characters, again, let me know down below in the comments so we can show some love to your favorites. Alrighty, so you know what, let's get started with number 17, my least favorite character in the film, Peter de Vries. Is that even how you pronounce it, guys? I was struggling with that one, but it's the character that David Dastmalchian plays, and I need to preface moving forward that none of these characters, even though they're my least favorites, are bad characters or even bad performances. It's just not gonna be one of those characters that I take away and say, you know what, I love them so much. Even though Peter was more of the right-hand man to the Baron, I don't think that this character did enough for me. Yeah, there were some sinister moments and he's always kind of like hanging in the background, but for me, I just don't think there was enough runway for David Dastmalchian to really put his amazing acting on full display. If you want to see that, you should probably go watch The Suicide Squad, because Polka Dot Man, well, he's the man. So let's move on to number 16, Herald of the Change, played by Benjamin Clementine. Now, let me tell y'all, the outfit that Herald of the Change was wearing was insane, okay? That fit was so fresh, jumping off that ship, or just walking off the ship really, and delivering the message to the Duke and letting them know that House Atreides is going to be the one to oversee spice on Arrakis was just an epic moment, but and due in large part to Benjamin Clementine's delivery in this moment. However, this character is just not doing too much after that scene, which is why Herald of the Change is really at my number 16. So let's jump into number 15 now, and that is Charlotte Mapps, played by Golda Rosheuvel. And Golda was actually Queen Charlotte, if I'm not mistaken, in Bridgerton. By the way, that was a scene-stealing performance. But here in Dune, I do think this character might have actually benefited from a little bit more time with Lady Jessica, because this character to me was kind of rushed into the field of view. If anything, I think this character actually didn't have enough time to really have their motivations fleshed out. But I get it, because Charlotte Mapps was thrown into that second act. It was a busy second act with lots of exposition, so there just wasn't enough time to throw around for everyone. Alrighty, y'all, so let's get into my number 13, and the placement for this character is probably going to be one that you disagree with a whole lot, and that is Jamis. Oh man, this pains me to put him here. Played by Babs Olusanmokun, this character is incredible. And don't get me wrong, this performance is actually really good for the small amount of time we get Jamis. But man, oh man, do I think that this character probably is even better in the books, because you do have a little bit more time to even get to know Jamis. In the movie though, we don't really get to know this character until the very end, and if anything, that was a disservice to Babs, because man, the performance here was so darn compelling and captivating, and alongside Javier Bardem, even Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, I thought that scene in the third act, and you know what I'm talking about, was breathtaking. But there is one character above Jamis at number 13, and that is Dr. Wellington Yu, played by Chen Chang. This character made me mad and also very empathetic all in one scene. I was so furious, and then I thought, oh, okay, I get you now. The motivations for this character for me were fleshed out enough, and it was so impacting in just that small moment of time. And again, I don't want to spoil too much here, but man, the good doctor has to make a really bad decision down the line, but even though he did it, I feel like there was enough of a redemption arc there. So I loved this performance. However, I do wonder if maybe there's a cut of the movie out there where this doctor and Paul Atreides have more time together, because I feel like there's the makings of a really good friendship there, but it wasn't really explored very well, and that did kind of hurt the character overall. And this next character at number 12 is probably going to make you guys scratch your head, but I have Beast Rabin Harkonnen, played by Dave Bautista. Dave is the man. He has been winning a lot in these past 3 or 4 years. The man has been everywhere in movies, but I loved what he did with this character, and I'm really hoping that in part 2 they really do explore Rabin a lot more, because here is a conflicted character, the nephew to the Baron. He looks up to his uncle and idolizes him, but we don't get much more than that, and I wanted so much more because there's a lot of potential with this role for Dave Bautista, and I'm actually kind of glad that we might get a little bit more of him in part 2, but for what we got in part 1, I think he sits just outside of my top 10 because there are a lot of game-changing performances and characters that we have yet to talk about. So let's get right into my number 11 with Reverend Mother Mohaim, played by Charlotte Rampling. Now let me tell y'all, even though Charlotte Rampling doesn't get a lot of screen time, there's that one scene, that one moment, the box, y'all know what I'm talking about. Whatever was in that box, it must have been painful, y'all. But Timothée Chalamet and Charlotte Rampling have this insane chemistry and back and forth on screen, and this character actually took my breath away. I forgot to blink that entire sequence, but again, we don't necessarily see this character too often, and when we do, it's in a very small moment with the Baron. But guys, let me tell you, Charlotte Rampling does a great job. I just think the character didn't get as much attention, which is why it's not in my top 10. So let's get into my top 10, guys, with number 10, Duke Leto Atreides, played by Oscar Isaac. Oh my gosh, Oscar Isaac not in my top 3. I mean, yeah, I understand. It probably sounds nuts now that I say it out loud, but I had to go through this list and really think about these characters and which ones were my favorite. Not necessarily the best, but my favorite. And I think Duke Leto Atreides is, well, he's just a safe character. But for me, that's not a bad thing, because Leto is a straight shooter. He loves his family, he loves his kid, and he loves his people. But the thing is, for me, that wasn't enough to really distinguish him in this huge sci-fi epic. And I'm also really curious about the book version of Leto Atreides, because I almost think that maybe there were moments where we could have dove into his psyche a little bit. There's even this moment where Lady Jessica and the Duke are just laying together, and he says, "I should have married you." And I wanted that scene to linger. I want to know more about their past. How did they come together? So that's a little selfish viewing on my end, but there just wasn't enough here from the character to really put him in the top 5 or even top 3 for me when you look at the entire film. Next up at number 9, I have Thufir Hawat, played by Stephen McKinley Henderson. And guys, I said this in my review, but Thufir is a character I wanted to see more of. I love that character. Every time he is on screen, the man has this amazing warmth about him. He brings such a human approach to this otherworldly epic tale, and I love his relationship with Paul Atreides. But we didn't get so much of him in that second half, and I wanted more, honestly. But some of the real friends let me know that Thufir plays a big role in part 2. Is that true? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But I am excited to see more of this character who brings it all. He's got great personality, and he's got amazing screen presence. But not just that, he does play a major role in helping keep House Atreides safe. But right above him at number 8 is Gurney Halleck, played by Josh Brolin. Thanos is in everything these days, but guys, Josh Brolin just kind of turns it up to an 11 in that final act. It is insane to see what Josh Brolin can do alongside Timothée Chalamet, and how Josh Brolin really elevates a lot of his co-stars in this film. But speaking more so towards the character of Gurney, oh man, I loved how amazing he was. He was a bad A-word. I can't really curse here on the channel too often, but I do love the fact that Gurney was able to help Paul grow, but also play a pivotal role in keeping Leto safe. I almost said Leto, whoops. But y'all, I really did love Gurney. However, I didn't love Gurney enough to put him above my number 7, which is Shani, played by Zendaya. Zendaya is one of my favorite actors working in Hollywood today, so just even hearing her name announced as a part of this cast for Dune, I was already sold. But seeing how she brought the character of Shani to life, especially in that final 20-minute stretch, was incredible. It was enough of a tease for me, honestly, for her character to know that, yes, she will play an important part in part 2, but she's also going to have a huge impact on the character of Paul. Not just because Paul has dreamed of her, but because I do have a funny feeling that they're meant to be together forever. Don't know why, it's a guess, don't spoil it for me again, I haven't read the books, but I am in love with this performance, honestly, and I do love this character a ton. But until we do get part 2 and more of Shani, I can't put her above our number 6 here, and that's Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, played by Stellan Skarsgård. Now, let me tell y'all, I'm gonna use his full government name here. Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. You creepy mother trucker. I can't believe it. The way he stands up and he's like levitating, guys, I was freaked out. I was so unsettled. It was creepy. And there's always this weird presence and aura about this character that whenever it's on screen, I'm going to say it's, I don't even know if I want to say he, this character just blows me away. The Baron is intimidating. The Baron has a lot of power, but also this is going to be the yin to Paul Atreides' yang. Can you imagine the face-off when they get together? If they get together, I'm gonna freak out. Maybe we get that in part 2, who knows? But I can only imagine if the Baron has more tricks up his sleeve. Alrighty y'all, so let's move into my top 5 favorite characters in Dune, and that starts with number 5, Stilgar, played by Javier Bardem. Now, if we're talking just performances, Javier Bardem, take a bow, because he gave one of the best performances in the movie, basically taking my attention every time he was on screen. There could have been Oscar Isaac on screen or even Rebecca Ferguson, but I was so focused on Javier Bardem every time he uttered any line of dialogue. But when it comes to the character of Stilgar, leader of the Fremen, I was impressed. I loved it. I thought it was so cool, the different traditions that are explored, spitting on the ground. But also, I do think that Stilgar has a certain affinity and belief in Paul Atreides. Now that's going to be really cool to explore in part 2, but Stilgar for me, if they gave him even a little bit more screen time, might be in my top 3, but for now, there are some other characters here that we've explored a little bit more that I've grown to love, even just thinking about the film, because I'm going to give it multiple rewatches this weekend, but at the time of posting this, I probably have only seen it once. Alrighty, so let's move into my 4th favorite character, and that is Dr. Lee Keynes, played by Sharon Duncan Brewster. Ooh, I know I said good doctor down below with, who is it? Dr. Wellington Yu, but this is the good doctor. She is amazing. Not only did I find myself rooting for Dr. Keynes, but I also felt myself rooting for Sharon Duncan Brewster. The way she's able to bring this character to life, and it be one of the more relatable characters here in this crazy vast film, I was so impressed. I know we don't get a lot of Dr. Keynes on screen, but what she does, 1, and 2, how she is able to just impact the story is incredible to me. And I love the little nuances in her performance as well. And this character for me is just incredible. And on multiple rewatches, for Dune, I am gonna just fall more in love with this character. I can't wait to see her kick so much butt yet again. But y'all, now it's time to talk about my top 3. So that starts with my number 3, and that's Duncan Idaho, played by Jason Momoa. Now hear me out, y'all. Jason Momoa is a great actor, but I don't think he's always been given good roles, and that does include Aquaman. But when it comes to Duncan Idaho and Dune, oh my goodness. When I tell y'all our theater was clapping and cheering for Duncan Idaho, this man is the truth. He is not only one person who will steal scenes, but the character is so real, so raw, and has this amazing brotherly relationship with Paul Atreides, to where every time they were on screen together, hugging each other, embracing one another, and protecting each other, I smiled. This is one of the best characters in any film that I've seen in 2021, but man, Duncan Idaho, just such a great character, man. Is there merch for Duncan Idaho? Can we look that up? Alrighty, while they look for Duncan Idaho merch, let's get into number 2, and that is Paul Atreides, played by Timothée Chalamet. Now, y'all, this was very, very tough because Paul Atreides is the focal point for Dune, at least Dune Part 1, where we're understanding that Paul Atreides is at the center of everything that's going to happen on Arrakis and off of Arrakis. The future of this world literally kind of lies in his hands. He is the chosen one, I want to say, but he is also going to play a very important part in helping the Fremen survive, in a way. At least that's my prediction, but I will tell you that Paul Atreides is a character that just really, I understand this character in a different way, because he has this underdog story where he is powerful, he has the voice, right? But he doesn't know how to use it yet. It reminds me of Spider-Man, for example, where Peter Parker, when he first gets his powers, understands he is strong and powerful, but he has to learn how to control it. So I love these sort of underdog stories, and that's why I really gravitated towards Paul. And it also helps that y'all Timothée Chalamet gives his best performance that I think I've ever seen as Paul Atreides. There's range, there's a dynamic appeal, and he also showcases a ton of emotion. So yeah, Paul Atreides is definitely well worth that number 2 spot, but that leaves me with my number 1, my most favorite character in Dune, and that is Lady Jessica Atreides, played by Rebecca Ferguson. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush and use some fancy adjectives here, guys, but Rebecca Ferguson is great. Now, I knew before heading into Dune that Rebecca Ferguson is a great actress, but seeing how she brought this character to life was unreal. And the character herself is just incredible, teaching Paul how to use the voice, signing. I guess they're using sign language to communicate with one another. The helicopter scene, y'all. I was in love. I was floored by this performance. Her constant tug of war. This is the most layered character in part 1. And not only that, this is probably the most important character in part 1. Some would argue it's Paul. Some would maybe argue that it's, I don't know, Leto. But I will tell you that Lady Jessica Atreides is the reason Paul even knows how to use his voice, 1, but 2, is as powerful and encouraged to step up and lead as he is. Even though towards the end, I know that Lady Jessica was like, you sure you want to do this? We got to get off planet. But you know what? I'm really glad that she trusts her son. There's this amazing mother-son relationship that the story plays with from start to finish, and the movie's so much better because of it. So there you have it, you guys. That's my list of favorite characters in Dune. But in case you skipped all the way to the end, which I know some of y'all do, let's go ahead and get into my least to most and just recap it a little bit. Number 17 is Peter de Vries. Number 16 is Herald of the Change. Number 15 is Shadut Mops. Number 14 is Jameis. Number 13 is Dr. Wellington Yu. Number 12 is Beast Rabban Harkonnen. Number 11 is the Reverend Mother Mohiam, if I pronounced that properly. I'm sorry if I didn't. Number 10 is the Duke. Number 9 is Thufir. Number 8 is Gurney. Number 7 is Shawnee. Number 6 is the Baron. And number 5 is Stilgar. Number 4 is Dr. Keynes. Number 3 is Duncan Idaho. Number 2 is Paul Atreides. And my favorite character in the film is Lady Jessica Atreides. But y'all, that's my list. I need to know what your list is looking like, so go ahead and get loud down below in the comments. Drop your favorites and let me know if you agree with my number 1, because I'm hoping we got some Lady Jessica fans out here. Where are all my Rebecca Ferguson fans at? Because guys, she absolutely stole the show for me. But y'all, that's it. That's my list. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the big red button below. Subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, and hit that thumbs up button if you are in love with Dune, if you want to see Dune. I mean, heck, if you haven't even seen the movie yet, let me know down below, because I want to hype you up. This film is well worth watching this weekend. Alrighty, y'all. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening. What, are you kidding me? You really want me to include the sandworm? Fine.